Hello, it's Jim Hutchens for the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week. Well, like last week, I want to continue reporting concerning what's going on in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, for all practical purposes, continues to be under siege. There's attempts internationally now to impose a two-state solution with Jerusalem as a divided capital. And the Palestinians are attempting to instigate another intifada that will ensure that that does in fact take place. I want to read from a newsletter of a Messianic believer in Israel. I'm not going to mention his name. He's not given me permission to do that as yet. If he does, I'll reveal that to you, because he writes very insightfully on what's taking place in Israel, and particularly Jerusalem. He has a ministry there. And I want to read some excerpts from his most recent newsletter. He says this: the last few weeks have seen Islamists rioting and civil unrest break out like root fires on the seams between Jerusalem's Jewish and Arab populations. Calls for violent opposition to Israel rule on the part of the Palestinian radicals that have come from the attempts to throw burning Molotov cocktails daily at police forces, army patrols, and civilian motorists. Deadly stone throwings occur around the clock at cars and pedestrians, with special focus on the Jerusalem light rail train system, which equally serves Jerusalem's Arab and Jewish populations in North Jerusalem. Attempted lynchings of Jews, imagine that, by Islamist youth rioters on the Mount of Olives have aggravated an already extremely tense situation. Over the past 3 weeks, there have been 3 motorized terror attacks against Israelis with fatalities, 2 knife attacks causing 2 fatalities, one at a Tel Aviv train station, the other at a hitchhiking stop south of Jerusalem. The perpetrators were affiliated with Hamas or Islamic Jihad and spent time in Israeli prisons for previous terrorist activities. We're encouraged to pray, he says. Pray for the God of Jacob to bring a blanket of quiet to Jerusalem, to guide security forces to thwart terror attacks, to preserve human life on all sides, and to give Israel's leaders divine counter strategies in dealing with jihadi plots. Now, at the same time, internationally, there is a growing anti-Semitism, especially in Europe. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said that it's comparable to the days prior to the Second World War. That's what's going on there as far as anti-Semitism is concerned. European media is particularly perverse in spinning its negative media descriptions of Israel. And since anti-Semitism is officially passé, anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. The same nasty language and malevolent intent is being published, but in the 21st century, it is now being incorrectly labeled anti-Zionism. Thus has anti-Semitism changed its garment, but all the while its pestilent flesh remains virulently unchanged. The world consensus opposing Jewish resettlement of its own homeland and of Jerusalem, its own capital city, shows how advanced this spiritual disease is and how deadly is the spiritual prognosis. A deadly spiritual prognosis. That's what we can expect in the days ahead. As the nations are in turmoil, and as superpowers slip quietly into the sea, as evil rises its green-tinged head, namely its Islamic head, as it raises its head across the face of God's planet, we need to stay on target and remember some rock-solid truths that will serve us well in the coming days as guiding stars. Remember the finger of God is catalyzing and instigating the Jewish people's return to the Promised Land. Remember, the God of Jacob is in the process of bringing about the eclipsing of Islamism and the collapse of Islamist control in the Middle East, especially in Zion. It will cease. It will be terminated by the hand of God. Be assured of that. Remember, Yahweh is ardently – determined to bring about the repentance and salvation of the nation of Israel. Remember, through the great trials, God will bring about the resurrection and the victory of the people of Israel, both in the physical and in the spiritual. There will be a huge spiritual renewal. There will be a turning to their Messiah, Yeshua, at some point. Remember, God will bring about the total defeat of all nations who turn against the Jewish state, and will bring judgment on all the countries who press for the dividing of Jerusalem. Those who want to divide Jerusalem will suffer the consequences. And finally, remember, God will establish Jerusalem as the capital city of his messianic rule and reinstate the Davidic dynasty as the royal family of his earthly kingdom. We need to pray, folks. Pray for Israel. Pray specifically. Pray that the revelation of Messiah Jesus will take place with regard to Israel and to its leaders. The revelation, the manifestation, the unveiling of the Messiah to Israel and its leaders. Pray for the protection and the victory of Jerusalem and her Jewish leaders. And pray for the soon return of Messiah Jesus, of Messiah Yeshua. And then finally, I would say, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. But remember, as you're doing so, that you're actually praying for the coming of the Prince of Peace. There will be no peace in Jerusalem, in Israel, or the world until the Prince of Peace comes. The day's coming when they'll say, peace, peace, but there is no peace. There will be peace when the Prince of Peace comes. Jerusalem will then know peace. Till next week, Od Ki Yavo Shiloh, or until Messiah comes, Yivarech Yahweh. God bless you. God bless yours.